The story of turkey, the all-American bird, is the story of America.
We have the opportunity to nourish generations of people. So we provide the product that sits in the center of the table for so many families and so many groups of friends across the country every year as we come together to celebrate Thanksgiving, which is a uniquely American holiday and one that, of course, is also so closely tied to the work that we do in the turkey industry every day.
With every slice, generations of families in the turkey business are delivering mouth-watering results for generations of families at the dinner table. And for more than 3 generations, U.S. presidents and the National Turkey Federation have celebrated the turkey and the American tradition of Thanksgiving by presenting the National Thanksgiving Turkey. The turkey brought to the White House is raised under the supervision of that year's NTF chairman with great care and impressive results. But occasionally, just occasionally, the National Thanksgiving Turkey has been known to spread his wings, make tracks, or make a personal appeal for a presidential pardon.
I think it's great that our whole Thanksgiving situation is tied in. It's very patriotic. Everybody celebrates Thanksgiving. We celebrate our country, and to be able to be, one of about 22 or 3 companies in America that supplies turkeys for Thanksgiving and the rest of the time of the year. I just think it's a very proud position to be in as kind of like the culmination of my career. So yes.
Well, I think that's probably one of the strengths of NTF is the fact that you do have room for that, and it's you've got all those perspectives in the same room, and the small and the big and the growers that are on their own, and the integrators that are the big guys that are writing the contracts and marketing really doing the marketing, to be honest. So I think it's an interesting association when you look at the National Turkey Federation and the way it's put together. I think it's one of its strengths, no doubt.
As I look down the long list of past chairmen, and I recognize most of the names or many of the names, it's kind of fun to be added to that list at some point as this Thanksgiving comes and goes. And just, I think, emotionally, interesting enough, it's probably more exciting for me to be able to take my family and have them experience it, because they're like, wow, we're going to the White House,
Long before the National Turkey Federation, turkey had been a sideline business to American farming. Yet the business of turkey grew. Through the early 1900s, anything that could walk to market did. Turkey drives fed and watered their way from farms to regional markets. And preparation for sale was no nonsense and took care of only the necessities.
And we started just dressing turkeys, New York live. We would just kill them. And of course, they would bleed out, and take the feathers off of them. We'd hang them on a rope, and we would throw them through in a hole in a bucket of ice, cool them off, put them in a barrel, and haul them to Washington. That was called New York dressed. All they had was feathers. They had their head, the feet, the legs, everything except the feathers off. And that's the way we started dressing the poultry until we started, getting into the bigger business.
We thought we were in the feed business, and turkey and chicken contracts with farmers was just a way of marketing feed. We didn't consider ourselves to be in the poultry business.
Robert H. Twiggs Strickler, his brother, and their father were among those who worked out the early business model for feed and farmer.
At one point along the way, it took roughly 60,000 square feet of poultry housing to support one farmer. Not very many farmers could borrow the money to do that. To help them, my company, for example, would write you a check for 50 grand. That became your earnest money to take to the Farm Credit and for them to loan you the rest. While it wasn't in writing, the clear understanding was that you would continue to contract with me until that debt was paid, and I would continue to to contract with you until the debt to the lender was paid. Variations of that have occurred to this day. That's how a lot of these large poultry farms that you see sticking around came into being. They had to have some help from the integrator.
It is hard, and you know, you got to make it happen. That's what it comes down to.
Why do you do it?
Why? I guess, you know, you kind of want to call your own shots, and if you don't mind the risk and you think you just think you can, so you do. I don't know how else to describe it. It's something we've always done, which isn't really a good answer, to be honest. But my family's always done it, and so you look at things through that lens and you say, well, this is what we do, and I want to keep growing turkeys in these barns on this land we've had for this long. Well, I guess I got to own a plant now, and I guess I got to market turkeys now, and I guess so. Just kind of a process. You don't really know what's happening to you till you're in it, and then it's okay. Well, this is the next step, and you kind of go from there. So why we do it probably isn't really even. There's probably not really a good reason, but it's what you do. That's kind of the way the family thing worked for me, anyway.
We've been very, very successful. If you look at the record of both primary breeders, they've done a fantastic job making the turkey protein very affordable, very economical.
Among the early families of entrepreneurs was a county agricultural agent from Virginia who eventually settled into turkey farming, used chicken incubators to hatch turkey eggs, and found that protective housing was more cost-effective, requiring less feed and conserving the turkey's energy.
Charlie Wampler Sr.
Some referred to him as the father of the modern turkey industry. But to Libby Wampler Custer, who is 101 years old, he was her father.
Oh, well, he did a little bit of everything. He started with nothing. He had no money, but he went to the bank to see if the bank would loan him money to start a business. The bank told him that the poultry industry in Rockingham County would never amount to anything, and it was not a good bank investment. Of course, bankers think different from poultry raisers, so they would not loan him the money. So anyway, 10 years after that, he was president of the First National Bank. Anyway, he got Uncle Joe and Uncle Fred, who had some money, and started the feed business, Wampler Feed and Seed Company.
In the early 30s, when we had the big economic breakdown, there was a poultry grower in McGaheysville, Virginia, who was a customer of Wampler's. And when that crash came, he couldn't pay his feed bill. And he and Mr. Wampler got together, and Mr. Wampler said, well, if you go out of business, I won't have your business. So he said, here's what we'll do. I'll furnish the feed, the chicks, and you grow them, and we'll split the profits 50-50. Now, when they came time to settle the first contract, Mr. Wampler said, this is unfair to you. So instead of giving you 50% of the profit beyond the feed and chick cost, I'm going to give you 75%. And for years and years, the contract between the farmer and the contractor was 75-25. When World War II came along and you had government price fixing, there wasn't any way to lose money. And so the 75-25 wasn't fair to the farmer again. And that changed to 90-10. It stayed at 90-10 for a long time.
The Wampler story is a great story of how it started and got evolved. But if there are people with a common interest that are willing to work together, I think you can do a lot.
In 1939, Charlie Wampler did a lot to focus a common interest on the turkey, and in league with noted turkey expert L.E. Klein of Reno, Nevada, made a bold, unorthodox move to promote turkey production. Wampler told the story in a book he wrote for his family about convincing 17 of the largest turkey breeders. Their names were already imprinted on stationery of the letter they each received.
They wrote to him and said, you have been elected director of the National Turkey Federation. Will you accept this? And told them where they were going to meet and what they were going to do. Well, I think all of them joined it, and that was, They presumed they would think that was a big organization. And there was 2 people, Daddy and one other man. And all these people joined in and they formed the National Turkey Federation.
As each generation kind of progressed, there was less and less. You know, they'd have some sheep and they'd have some, it'd be some of this and some of that. My grandfather got fairly large. He probably grew as many turkeys as I do today back then. And he's a pretty big grower at first day. So, you know, the progression as far as the family goes and how it became more specialized, because of course, you know, even my grandfather had some breeder hens. And then as my father entered the business, it was all commercial, you know, meat birds. So, and now we got a plant and now we're marketing. So it's funny how that all goes. I mean, it's just kind of the progression that, you know, you do what you got to do to stay in the business.
To stay in the business, turkey farmers tested feed combinations, balancing nutrition, growth, and cost.
Fish meal got to be very, very cheap down in South America. Now, it was always such an expensive product that you had to force fish meal into the formula in order to meet the nutritional requirement of the bird. When it got real cheap, it just grabbed unbelievable amounts. Would you like to hear how embarrassed I was when we turned thousands of turkeys out that tasted like fish?
Our turkeys all just roamed all over the farm out there. You had to chase after an old hen to find out where she was going to lay her eggs and gather them up and bring them in and keep them in a box so that you could hatch them.
When my father started, he built these small houses and you spread them out. And the reason was you were afraid they'd burn down. One wouldn't set another on fire. And you heated them originally with wood. My father, in 1940, got to thinking about this poultry house thing, and he said, what the hell? Why do we have to have all these houses scattered all over? Why not build a house 200 feet long, same thing, same width, same slope roof, same heating, but 200 feet long? And he did. It was on what we then called the Rush Farm on the other side of the Massanutten Mountain. Now, literally, people came from all over Virginia to look at Strickler's Folly. They could not believe that Bob Strickler was stupid enough to build a 200-foot-long chicken house. Everybody knew you couldn't do that. And you see some today that are way beyond that.
I think most people that's been in it as long as I would say it started changing in the mid-70s. That's about the time when a lot of different companies over the country in the 70s, early 80s went from bronze, black turkeys, range, no houses, to starting to build houses. I know in the early 70s, Wampler started building houses and putting out incentives to get houses built, and we slowly moved from range bronze turkeys to the white turkey we have today.
Anyway, that's the way we started. It was just a few of us, a hanger, and we scalded them, put them on a rack, and dipped them down in hot water, a tank of hot water, and then dressed them and shipped them to New York. And then we got a lot of government regulations and a lot of money that we didn't have. So we decided to expand.
The turkey industry is one of the most complex industries that I've been exposed to, and the many areas of agriculture that I've experienced over time. And so the complexity of the turkey industry, I think, implies that it's through that collaboration and through the joint effort that we're able to accomplish more together than any one company would be able to accomplish individually. And so that collaboration is absolutely necessary and important for us as we move forward.
For me, it's one and the same. You live your life a certain way, you try and be a certain person, you hold yourself up to these standards, which are very hard to meet, but it's being the best in the turkey industry. That's certainly, you know, a goal that we have, and we intend to be that, want to be that, strive every day to be that. And you also want to be the very best you can at managing your employees, managing your family, managing your social life. And I put that all together because I don't think you can be really good at one and fail miserably at the other and be happy.
Relatively speaking, it's a small industry. And when you look out across the room here today, looking at the industry representation, it's very easy to understand who's doing what. I think the purpose is to share best practices down the road against all criteria, and I think we've got a mindset here within this industry that we want to help each other for the common cause. Don't always see that in the competing proteins, and I've been on all sides of that business. So to me, it's a healthy business environment, and we've got a real positive group of people here within this industry. Yes, we're all going to be great competitors and we're all going to go at it, but we want to do it the right way and we want to help each other out when we can.
It's everybody knows everybody, yet everybody is very competitive. Everybody wants to play to win. Everybody wants to take a step ahead of the others, and that's the nature of, that's why we're in this great country basically. That's what makes us great, is competition.
There's hardly a better or more economical meal than roast or barbecued young turkey for special occasions or an everyday treat. But today's turkey products don't stop there. Delicious light and dark turkey is available in a delightful array of appetizing foods. There's a whole family of processed meats: turkey salami, pastrami, corn dogs, frankfurters, sausage, bologna, and even turkey ham to tempt the fussy palate. And high-protein ground turkey is great for a dish calling for ground meat. Turkey parts like drumsticks, thighs, or wings also are favorites with modern homemakers interested in good nutrition and low-cost family meals.
Turkey to me was a great opportunity. You think about the lean protein, all the wants and diets, and some were fads and some have held through and held strong. But turkey is still this great opportunity to be able to get good food, good protein into the mouths of people. And that's not just the United States, but around the world. So that's the hope.
I think we have a lot of road in front of us. I don't think there's any question that turkey as a protein has a lot of opportunity for enhancement, for improvement, and for growth. We know the nutritional value, we know the health claims. It's a matter of getting the products more cut to the everyday recipe.
It's amazing. Our plant in Hinton always did whole birds. That was our main business from 1949 to 2004 when it closed. And did very little. Only cut up we did was anything that wouldn't go in the bag. If it was an undergrade, it was cut up and sold in tray pack form or something like that. Today, that same plant in Hinton does absolutely zero whole birds. We only dress 40 or 40 plus pound toms, and we cut them into meat pieces and sell them to other further processors all over the country. And that's a huge change from where it used to be. Nobody believes us when you say, boy, you're probably busy. It's November, it's getting close to Thanksgiving. It's just another day. We dress the same amount of turkeys and do the same thing to them every week of the year. So Thanksgiving, Easter, and Christmas doesn't really make any difference to us. We're not a whole bird plant anymore.
We're giving them a protein that's very lean, protein that's very affordable, protein that's easily mixed with other proteins. It acquires the taste of anything you cook with it.
I actually think that farmers are some of the most innovative people on the planet, because they've had to go from farming with their hands and then with utilizing animals to ultimately using more mechanized means, and also certainly more advanced practices as it relates to genetics, whether that's in production agriculture or whether that's in animal agriculture. Additional practices in in the turkey business, innovative practices as it relates to the way that we feed our turkeys, the way that we raise our turkeys, all in an effort to provide better quality, good quality products to a growing consumption base. And I think that's really critical and important and will continue to be. Innovation is necessary and critical to the continuation of agriculture for sure.
We're farming in DC too. It's amazing how, we like to say that it's happening out there, but it seems like more and more with the regulations the way they are and the way things have progressed. You got to get through these hoops first out here almost to do what you want to do at home. And it takes kids like mine and people that have an ag background to come out here and keep some common sense going out here from what I've seen of it and from the little I've been exposed in the 10 years or so that I've been doing this NTF gig. So that's what I would say more than anything. We need kids like my kids coming out here and explaining what's really going on in the real world, because it's just scary when you think about who's writing these rules and who's writing these bills and the backgrounds they have. And I would like to think that kids like mine could come out here and help with that, because it seems like, unfortunately, farming is happening here first and then you go back and do what they'll let you do versus the way it used to be when my grandfather was doing it. Unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
I don't think any of them realize how much complexity there would be with the government regulations that we have today. And that has really changed over the years. Well, from the New York dress going into a barrel with only the feathers off.
When I think of change in the industry, I think about consolidation a little bit. I think about pace of change. I think about a holiday. And as an industry, we own a holiday. It'd be nice if we owned two. We own a holiday. Probably the biggest change is, on Thanksgiving, going over to Grandma's for that whole bird. And then how that's morphed into sliced meats, into fillets, into sausages, into products that have totally evolved from what we were growing turkeys for 40, 50, 60 years ago.
There's continuing to be consolidation. That's been continuing to happen. I would assume that that's going to still continue to happen. I also believe there's going to be multi-protein, just like you already see in that. So there's going to be, more companies that are not just in this situation, the turkey business. For example, in our business, that's our major core business right now. But we're also in the swine business and we're also in the egg layer business. So, and we are expanding both of those. So from our viewpoint, and as we look around the industry, without naming other names, there's plenty of other companies that have multi-species or multi-protein. And when you think about the multitude of users out there, whether it be food service or retail, they kind of want a one-stop shop a little bit. It's a little easier, and they want to source multiple proteins from one company.
I see change in the up-and-comers. And one of the things that I really like to speak to them about is remembering the history of the business. And for me, it started back in 1982, but from whenever you started, to understand that yes, there were strikes, there were issues with the evolution of proteins, the fact that beef consumption over a long period of time has gone down, and that to some extent pork has benefited chicken more, turkey somewhat, and we need to recognize that we've fallen into the laps of some very good things as well as some problems. But we also want to make sure they get heard. And whether it's a Jennie-O Turkey Store or the Hormel Group I was speaking to, the idea is that they have messaging. They're the consumer of today and tomorrow. We're just today, right? But they're today and tomorrow. And we need to know what they think and what they really believe and move more towards that in our marketing and the social media that we're now involved in.
People that came before us worked exceptionally hard. And they created the foundation on which we can continue to move forward, and we can continue to build the industry and to build agriculture. And I think that is really a blessing for those of us who are involved in agriculture today. And I also think it's a tremendous responsibility that we have to continue to carry forward that tradition and carry forward that history that we have, so that the generations yet to come can also have the experience that we've had and continue to share the wealth that agriculture provides to the rest of the world.
It's fascinating because it's an opportunity for us, for the American industry, for us as a turkey industry. As I travel to so many different countries, I see them that they are trading easier between each other, and yet we kind of, we miss some opportunities. You know, it's not like we're sitting on the sideline, but I think we missed some opportunities. And I'd like to be the dynamic, or as an industry, would like to be a dynamic player. As a country, we lead. We tend to lead. And why not lead in this aspect too? Why be, you know, the second-hand player? Lead, continue to lead in every aspect. You know, from humanitarian to, you know, trade, to know-how, to experience. Turkey industry is not any different from any other industry. Take the lead.
Right now, there's probably no better space in time looking at competing proteins, looking at where the supply situation is with those proteins, looking at some of the price points. We've got some open road in front of us right now, and it's good to see the industry engaged again at doing something different.
That road is familiar, the same reason NTF's founders got together, for the public to eat more turkey. Over the decades, promotions and advertising worked to move mid-season oversupplies of turkey quickly onto the market. While turkey's lean protein benefits compare most favorably to other meat and poultry.
Our vision is to increase demand to the point where instead of being somewhere in the 16 to 17 pounds per person on an annual basis, sure like to move it up to 20 pounds by the year 2020, and that's a dream that we're currently working on.
Again, the need is to be easy, to be quick, and to taste good. And we all know how that works with a whole bird. We also know the effort it takes to produce that whole bird. Again, that's a once or twice a year opportunity. We want the everyday product, and we need to tailor those products so that that average customer, that average consumer knows what to do with it, can prepare something quickly that her family likes, and gives her some variety.
We can grow, and we can do it by making terrific turkey products. I constantly work with our marketing people that it's not good enough to be okay in this day and age. We have to be great. And the turkey industry as a whole, I think, can do more there. So there's progress that we can make, and I fully believe that we can take a greater share of the consumer dollar, no question about it.
We grew through the period of the 80s when we doubled consumption, and that was quite exciting. We expanded our business much like a lot of the turkey industry did. So we rode that wave, and that was quite a fun, adventurous wave to ride because to some extent you couldn't expand fast enough. There was so much extra demand for turkey. And so, you know, when I saw my chairmanship coming along, I'm thinking of that same kind of a adventure, if you will, or same kind of a, you know, fun ride for us in the next generation.
And NTF's work in the past has been very good, was very good, but it wasn't large enough in my opinion. And this one has the potential of getting large enough, I think, to move the needle. I think that's exactly what we need. And I didn't see one person in these meetings so far for increasing consumption that had their own agenda. I think they were all working together, and I think Gary Cooper gets a lot of credit for that. There's a family farm for you that goes way back.
I'd like to think you bring something to the table, being, you know, smaller and independent to some degree, but I'm not going to fool myself. You know, we don't have a brand, we aren't marketing, you know, we don't have something to protect like some of the big guys in the room do. At the same time, we have a perspective, and I think there's a value in having that co-op mentality to some degree brought to bear on the folks out here. There's times you need that. You know, you're going into an office in town here in Washington, D.C., and that's the voice you want to hear that day, and we can bring that. So I remember, you know, when I took the gavel in San Diego, I did the whole Aesop's fable thing about the mouse and the lion, and I still think that's true. I think, you know, we had our place, and I'd like to think that that Northern Pride has had its place in the last 25 years, 26 now, and that growers my size can make a difference too.
We have to make sure that we cover all the bases, from welfare to growing, to competing with other proteins, to export, you know, more international industry than it used to be, in my opinion. That changed a lot.
I think the industry is incredibly welcoming. There is incredible sophistication as it relates to the industry, but also it's an industry that has very strong roots in rural America, in agriculture, and that keeps us grounded. And so I think it's really that interesting balance between the sophistication of the agricultural industry today and also that very humble grounding and beginning, where we came from, that's critical and important to the success of each of our companies and each of our businesses. I love the fact that we can come together and find common points and points for collaboration, and then also go out and be great competitors with each other, because I think that makes the industry stronger.